Brahma, Vishnu, Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gururamurti Puja Moolam Guru Padam Mantramulam Gururvakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I enjoy recalling, and that is the way of the Eastern wisdom, because the knowledge is passed on by the teacher and his teacher and his teacher. So that is why it is always good to remember our teacher. So you see that if I divide all the 51 sutras of the so all the 51 sutras into a different heading, that will definitely make a sense to you. I have done it. We have covered the two sections. What are the two sections? Huh? Oh, Alexandra, Alex is there. Very good. Thank you for tolerating me for 2 hours. Only this is 3. Now see that, let me see if I can put all the C. So this is what we did. This is, section 3 is for my book. So you see that first 4 sutras, what understanding it gives us, Kate. Okay. So I said Kate is presenting something, then she left it. So the first 4 sutras gives us an idea of what idea it gives. It gives an understanding of that what exactly is yoga according to Vyasa. So once we have a clear understanding of this, then we come to the second section that we have covered last week. So you see that is another way to understand. So this is what, and until Sutra number 11, we covered how mind becomes the cause of the suffering. I think, do you have a fair idea? Okay. Do you have a mind? Yes. Are you suffering sometime during the day? Can you apply these sutras? Simple. So now, then what comes next? So the 5 sutra, every sutra is important. I won't say that this sutra. So now the next section today that we are going to cover, let's have a brief and then we will understand. So today we are going to see if we can cover the 5 sutra. What exactly is the method? What is the practice after all? What is the practice? Some people claim I have been doing the practice for 15 years. People come to me, I've been practicing meditation for 15 years. Oh, are you practicing it regularly? No, I practiced it 5 years ago. And now I have come to you. What do you mean by you have been practicing for 15 years? What do you mean? That is why, I just pointed that how long you are breathing. That is the way to be practiced. So we will understand that. Now see that once we have done the practice, see the arrangement, the way our Patanjali has written this text. So we should have a deeper insight into that. Now the next section, what should be the next section? Okay, I have done the practice. So, what exactly is the state of meditation? So, he explains, the stages of meditation. And now, on Mondays and Thursdays, I take up briefly because we have to do the practice. It's only 1 hour session. So, can you think now that what should be the next section in the Patanjali? After I learned that this is what the highest state of meditation, and these are the other primary stages of meditation. So now, what is the ideal topic should be? The ideal topic should be how to become a seeker. So, how to become a seeker? What do you mean by the seeker? So, seeker only succeeds in meditation, seeker only succeeds in yoga. So, we have 5 or 6 sutras that what exactly is the sutras. Now comes, Patanjali is quite clever and intelligent in the sense. In the next section, he comes that what we you have been talking about the real self, real. What exactly is the real self? You see that? What exactly is the real self? How we can understand, how we can define, so that I have been doing the practice. Can I have a direct experience of that real self or not? You see that? So now you have it. Now see that in the another section I have divided. This is my master divided in a different way. But after giving couple of lessons, I realized that I should divide like this, the way I'm writing a book. What is the next section? So next section is what are the obstacles? What are the hindrances? How my mind challenges me, huh? And I fail in meditation. I do not bring to an end the suffering. So there are basically 9 obstacles, followed by the 4 symptoms, which was discovered by the Patanjali 2500 years ago, which we talk very common nowadays, the people when they are suffering from anxiety. And so now see that the next section that I have divided, that is how we are going to understand. Next section is that, okay, now I know everything. I have been doing the practice regularly, not like the guy who told me I've been practicing for 15 years. And then I asked, how long? Oh, no, I just, I left it 5 years ago. That's why I thought that let me start it again with you. So, and then what happens? The next section is that what happens when one succeeds in meditation. You see that? That is how the entire sutra is written in the first chapter. Take a brief. Go back to the second chapter. Second chapter, the first sutra says, did you understand? Do you keep in mind that the first chapter is written for the highest level of seekers? For the highest level of seekers. Definitely, we all are highest level of seekers. So the second chapter says that, oh, I feel a lot of challenges in my life. So second chapter teaches us 2 different stages. The middle level of seekers. Okay, now I have a lot of challenges of the mind. So people come to me with the mental challenges. So I start helping them with the second chapter. What is that? Tapah Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So that is the second format of yoga. What is Kriya Yoga? Discipline and education of the mind. First, Tapah. That is Tapah. Literally means this. So how to discipline and educate your mind? Swadhyaya, self-study. So, self study not only from the knowledge, but also studying yourself. So, you are becoming aware. You see, CBT? CBT is at a very primary level, but we teach CBT in the from the second chapter in detail. You see, cognitive behavior therapy. I think Kate and Lara knows. Then in the same, now you
Cognitive
stand
behavioral
nowhere.
therapy.
Huh?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Cognitive behavior therapy. Yeah. Cognitive. Yes, and then now you stand nowhere in terms of the clarity and understanding. Then we move to the Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, let us follow Yama and Niyama. Who follows Yama and Niyama? Let me follow it. But now go to the third chapter. The third chapter teaches you the basics of meditation. What exactly is the basics of meditation? So it explains in the first four sutras. Deshabandhasya chitasya dharana tatra pratik tanata dhyanam. Then it teaches about samadhi, and all the three together becomes. Now go to the first sutra of the fourth chapter. Still, the Patanjali constantly says, did you succeed from the first chapter? Okay, very good. You need not to study anything more. Second chapter. Oh, now you learn how to discipline and educate your mind. Do you understand what it means by discipline and education of the mind? If you cannot do it, okay, here are do's and don'ts. Yama and niyama are nothing but do's and don'ts in life. Follow the rule, on the street, on the road. Follow the rules of the driving, follow the rules of the life. That is what it is. So, because you are not inclined, your mind is too much stressed, and you cannot raise your level of awareness. So, now go to the fourth chapter. Janma Aushadhi Samadhi. What it says, Janma Aushadhi Samadhi. No, Janma Aushadhi Mantra Samadhi. There are four means to reach to the highest state of real self. Janma, by birth. Aushadhi. Here comes a very herbal combination. I have done it. It gave me some result, but then I left it. It's almost a 3 months program that you start eating certain herbs from the day one, day two, day three, so 3 to 4 months of that. And then you have to live a totally secluded life, only alone life. So that is the process of that comes from the tantra. So janma aushadhi mantra. So when we learn mantra yoga and nada yoga in detail, we can reach to the same state. That is what Patanjali referred in the fourth chapter, and the fourth is the samadhi. So you see that in all these categories of different modes of practices, different levels of practices, we have included in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Now understand what it means by a seeker. Do you know Bhartrhari Nath? I believe you study Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, right? Do you study Hatha Yoga Pradipika? I have converted Hatha Yoga Pradipika also into a different questions. So you'll find the name Bhartrhari Nath. He was a great master. He was a great master. So in the very beginning of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, you'll find the names of maybe 20 or 30 masters. One of them is Bhartrhari Nath, Gorakshnath, Matsendranath, Balaknath, Bhartrhari Nath. So I thought to start the journey of today's with Bhartrhari Nath. Bhartrhari was a great king. Now think of becoming a speaker, of a seeker at the same time. While you are learning, absorb that in your mind. Think of what your mind is thinking and how Bhartrhari was thinking. Ready, John? Yes. Bhartrhari was a great king. He loved his wife, his honey, too much. So when you do something too much, you get obsessed. But anyhow, he was in deep love with his wife. And the Indian culture, you see that it is full of these monks and the masters. Beard guy, unbeard guys. So a monk came to his kingdom, blessed Bhartrhari, and gave him an apple. If you eat this apple, you will live longer, you will live healthy, your brain will become sharp. Bhartrhari was a great king, very noble king. You can say a noble president. He was taking care of it. Now pay attention. Every step you have to apply, you have to see that where your mind stands. Bhartrhari, because he loved his wife, he gave that apple to his wife. Honey, I love you. Huh? What we say? You are the soulmate. Huh? So, please eat this. One monk said this, it will take care of your health. And that is what happens. We offer the best to our beloved. Alexander is thinking, what will happen? Yeah, the next step, that his wife loved the head of the stable, the horse farm, dearly. So his wife gave that apple to that very well built. Do you know the story? No, you don't know the story. Think of it. How my mind is working. God bless you. But that stable master loved a pros in the city, in the kingdom. So he gave that apple to the pros. Now the magic will happen. The stable master also explained about the importance of the apple, how it came, and monk came. The pros continued thinking that, you see that, what I will do, my life is totally infamous, people don't respect me, but my king is so good, so noble, he takes care of everything. And the pros gave that apple to king, brother. You see the journey? This is a true story of our life. If our mind is not a seeker, it's a true story. That's how he became, from the king, he became one of the great masters. Now think of the response or the reaction the Bhartrhari will do. He realized it is the same apple coming from the monk. Everyone is laughing what he should do. We should not lose our intellect in times of stress, in times of anxiety, in times when the mind is surrounded by conflict, failures. So, one response we already know, come on, honey, you are no longer my honey, take a divorce. And the king was in power. He could pass on the judgment. So the Bhartrhari started thinking. And he asked the FBI to investigate the matter. In those days, FBI. So ultimately, his intellect was there. He did not bring his intellect down. Sometimes we take a action in just a reaction, in a spur. Done. You see that? He did not do that. The very important quality of becoming a seeker. Whatever the problem in the life is, my intellect should remain intact and it should follow the principles of the Eastern wisdom. So ultimately, he got entire clue, he got the entire story. That apple went to the stable master, from the stable master, the pros, and from the pros, it came to me. He said to himself, see that I loved my wife so dearly. She did not have any problem. That is okay if she loved the stable master. But again, even that master also did not love my wife. I should have been happy. What is this? What happens in the world? And the stable master loved the pros, and even the pros, that pros where I never went. I was simply aware, and she, out of love, offered the apple to me. Look at it. Understand the entire journey of the mind. Fear, pleasure, pain, grief. Everything is included there. Yes.
So I have a quick question for clarification. So that story is not, that's a story of not being the highest level of a seeker, correct?
No, that is what, we are becoming a seeker now.
Mhm.
So the Bhartrhari, the king, is constantly thinking. First option to ostracize his wife from the kingdom. He did not take that decision. To punish wife and stable master, he did not take the second decision. He blamed himself. He realized that love is not outside. Love is inside. Love is inside. It is not outside. What he did then? Don't do that. In those times, he took the decision. He left the kingdom. He gave the kingdom to his son, and he said, now I'm going. Where are you going, Dad? I'm going to the forest. Why I'm going to the forest? Because to understand the purpose of life. He did not say anything. Then he became one of the great masters in the Natha tradition. That is why you see the Nath, Lara Nath, Bhartrhari Nath. Bhartrhari Nath. If you happen to, if you are free and sometime if you feel that it is important to change my life, he wrote 3 most precious books. This is the name of the first book, Vairagya Shatakam. Vairagya means dispassion. 100 verses on Vairagya. Then he wrote another book. It is very famous amongst those who are great seekers. Another one is the Niti Shatkam. Niti Shatkam, Niti means rule of the law. Rule of the. We talk a lot about, our politicians talk rule of law. Whether they follow it or not, that's a different thing. So he wrote rule of law, 100 verses on that. And there are more women here. So that is why I'm writing. He wrote the third book, Shringar Satkam. Shringar means beauty. Beauty. Why he wrote Shringar Satkam? He wrote it that how he was caught by the pleasure-seeking mind outside in the world that caused lot of suffering in his life. So he said, you have to be aware, maintain your awareness in day-to-day life. So there are 100 verses on beauty, 100 verses on rule of law, that you may say yama and niyama. How you apply yama and niyama in your daily life. And the first one, Vairagya Shatkam. You want to be a seeker. So we have to read I will pick up couple of the sutras, couple of the verses from Vairagya Shatkam. My master used to teach. It used to take 6 months to teach Vairagya Shatkam. And it took many years. It goes into the head. And once it goes into your head, you are into that wisdom. You're happy. That's another way to say it. So, Christina, you understand that decision. Can we take that decision? Do we take those kinds of decisions in our daily life? It is not about only the relationship. You go to the Walmart, you have some problem. Do you keep your intellect alive? So if you keep your intellect alive, then we will come to the Yoga Sutra number 12 to 16. So let us do it. Abhyas. Let us start chanting. Abhyas, the Yoga Sutra number 12. Abhyas. You have to say it loudly. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. So what we will do, 3 times you do it call and response, and the 4th time we will do it together. Now the 3rd time. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Now the 4th time together. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. That is 13 number. Now Tatra Sthito Yatno Abhyasah. Tatra Sthito Yatno Abhyasah. 3rd time. Tatra Sthito Yatno Abhyasah. Now the 4th time. Tatra Sthito Yatno Abhyasah. Now the sutra number 14. Satu. Tu means you. Dirghakal. Nirantarya. Satkar. Adar Sevito. Dadbhumi. Satur. Dirghakal. Nirantarya. Satkar. Adar Sevito. Dadbhumi. 3rd time. Satu Dirghakal. Nirantarya. Satkar Sevito. Satkar Adar Sevito. Dradbhumi. Now let us do it together. Satu Dirghakal. Nirantarya. Satkar Adar Sevito. Dradbhumi. Done. Now sutra number 15. Drashta Anushravik. Vishaya Vitrashnasya. Little typical. Vitrashna. Vitrashna is there and then sya. Vashikara Sangya. Vairagyam. Again. Drashta Anushravik. Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sangya Vairagyam. Third time. Drashta Anushavik Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sangya Vairagyam. Now let us do it together. Drashta Anushavik Vishaya Vitrashnasya Vashikara Sangya Vairagyam. Last one sutra in this category. Tatparam Purushkhatahi Gun Vetrashnyam. Tatparam Purushkhatahi Gun Vetrashnyas Vetrashnyam. Vetrashnya Vetrashnyam. Can you say it again? Vetrashnyam. Yes. Tatparam Purushkhyatai Gun Vetrashnyam. Third time. Tatparam Purushkhyatai Gun Vetrashnyam. Fourth time. Tatparam Purushkhyatai Gun Vetrashnyam. So now we come to the first one. Where is the first one? Abhyas Vairagya Bhyam Tanirodha. Simple meaning. Regular practice with dispassion. But I have deliberately using the translation as regular practice with wisdom and dispassion is the method, to make it more clear. What is wisdom? The wisdom of Bhartrhari. That is why I told you that story. In everyday life, wisdom of Bhartrhari. Applied wisdom is dispassion. Applied wisdom is dispassion. Now see that the story of the Bhartrhari. He did not fight with his wife. He did not hang a stable master. He did not appreciate it. Pros. It has to do with me. That is what we are seeking, my friends. Poverty inside and riches outside. Or riches in both the space, in the inner space and also the outer space. Now think of it. Poverty inside, all kinds of riches outside, all kinds of luxuries in the comfort is outside. Again, go back to Bhartrhari. That's how we will understand. This sutra is very important. Once you understand this sutra, the rest of the sutras becomes easy to understand. Mind is constantly running due to the 5 subjective states and 5 objective states. That is what we have understood in the last sessions. Objective states are dictated by the past impressions. Go back to Bhartrhari again. I love you so much, honey. And a sudden shock. So knowledge of the 5 subjective states helps us to know that living only in 2 states keeps my intellect intact in wisdom, so that I'm not carried away by any challenges in my life. I ask my intellect, come, help me, guide me, inspire me to treat the path. Did you understand that? That is why Patanjali covered first 11 sutras. What he said, do you remember? 5 subjective states of the mind. Yoga can only happen in last 2 subjective states of the mind. Did you understand the simile that do you remember the simile? Is Arizona in USA? Is Arizona USA? Yes. Is USA Arizona? So here that simile means USA contains 5 states. But yoga can only happen in the last 2 states. Remember this. If you do not remember, you do not become seeker. You do whatever you do. The outer riches cannot lead to inner riches. That is what the Bhartrhari, you see the intellect of the Bhartrhari? He should have a great ego, guided and dictated by the first 3 states of the mind. Come on, hang this girl. I love this. Now I hate her. Hang the stable master. Hang the pras. I don't want to listen to anyone. That is why I talked about that story. There are many other stories, real life stories. So we should understand what causes the inner poverty that manifests in anxiety, in stress, in relationship challenges, violence, jealousy, hatred, and reaction. When we understand that, wealth cannot buy happiness. It is living reality in me. It is not a philosophical statement. When that happens, the mind lives supported by the intellect. So, someone was talking to me that I give cross-referencing. Yes, to have a clarity of understanding. If we don't clearly understand the principles, nothing happens. So there is another text which is known as Bhaj Govindam. What it says, Satasangatve Nesasangatvam Nesasangatve Nirmohatvam Nirmohatve Nischaltatvam Nischaltatve Jivan Mukti. I hope, let us sing that together. Let me put it and remember this. Here it is. Where it says, Satasangatve, can you say that? Satasangatve, Nesasangatvam, Nesasangatve, Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve, Nischaltatvam, Nischaltatve, Jivan Mukti. Bhaj Govindam, that is the name of the text. But now I will give you another name of this text. The name of this text is known as Moha Mudgar. Moha Mudgar. Mudgar means hammering. Moh means delusion. So you hammer on the delusion by the intellect, then you know what is the exact practice. So that is another name of the text. You see, if you don't hammer your delusion that you are living with, nothing is going to happen. So now what is the meaning of this? I have already said. Association with the masters brings non-attachment. We have to listen to it again and again and again and again. Until my mind says, I am okay now. Non-attachment leads to right knowledge. Right knowledge leads to permanent happiness, to which the liberation follows. You got it? Listening again and again. Not listening to the best-selling authors, listening to the traditional masters. Otherwise, they will say, buy my book first. So, satsang means a company with the teacher who should be well versed with the different texts of the Eastern wisdom. So, if a particular concept has to be cleared, he has to take a cross-referencing of the different texts because those principles sometimes are elaborated in detail in different texts. Because Patanjali has to compose the sutra, so he has to compress it. So you have understood. So now let us go to Abhyas Vairagya Bhyam Tannirodha. Can you say it? Abhyas Vairagya Bhyam Tannirodha. So I laid a foundation of what it is. Now pay attention to each word. Abhyas, persistent practice. The first word. Second, Vairagya, non-attachment, desirelessness, dispassion. Did Bhartrhari had any passion or desire while taking a decision? No. He said, bye-bye, honey. Keep loving whatever you're doing. I'm not interested. Now I found that love is in, so it is loving. What we do. Now, I'm not saying that we should take that kind of a decision. There are no Himalayas here. And we are not a king. So based on our situation, condition, events in the life, we should take a right decision by the intellect. Anyhow, leave this. Abhyasa, the first word means persistent practice. Vairagya means dispassion. Abhyam means both. And tannirodha. Tannirodha means empty the mind. So what is the meaning? The practice has two elements. Practice has two elements. One is dispassion, other is practice. So where do you practice dispassion? In the head inside. It is a knowledge practice. So if the knowledge practice is not there and you are doing 10 years meditation, closing your eyes, nothing will happen. Now you know the cause of the failure. I am doing the practice habitually 10 years without understanding, without the knowledge inside. Do you drive your car home? Yes. Intellect keeps that knowledge of your home all the time. And the driving is the practice. Driving is abhyasa. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? When you drive home, it is one step. You're driving your car. You're performing some action. And the intellect is constantly aware of the target, the destination. This is one way to understand. Are you getting it? Got it. Yes. What is your target? Are you listening to me? I cannot make out. Only you have to know that. Are you really listening to me? No. Alexandra says no. Thank you very much. I'm lucky. Then I will not have any question. So I have freedom from both ways. But if you are listening, I'm happy to answer. Now I'm giving you the copy of how the Vyasa explained this sutra. So you can keep this, and then we are going to understand that how the Vyasa explained this sutra. Mind is the cause of the suffering and the happiness, the first point. Clear? We have been saying it again and again. When the mind moves with viveka, that means discernment and dispassion, followed by the practice, you achieve the result. So I think I covered that, so I'm not going there. Do you remember that I covered Amrit Bindu Upanishad? You see that how cross-referencing comes? Manaiv manishyanam karanam bandha mokshayo bandhai vishaya saktam nirvishayam muktai nirvishayam smratam. Mind is the cause of bondage and mind is the cause of the freedom. Did you learn clearly the first 11 sutras where you know that mind is the cause of the stress and suffering and mind is the cause of the freedom? Two states, only two states. Mind should live in the two states, ekagrata, niruddha. Clear? You see, cross-referencing works. So one master explains like this, Patanjali is explaining in a different way. They have to stick to the main principles. Now, what is abhyasa? The first word, abhyasa means repeat practice. Repeat. And vairagya, the dispassion, means the mind can naturally move inside, free from the pressure, suppression, coercion. Abhyasa may be many types, but dispassion remains one in all practices. Why I gave the example that you keep in your intellect the address, the location of your home. That is one constant. You may drive, you may drive by any car, you may cycle, you may go to your home by foot. Do you see that? Do you see the difference between the two steps? The destination is always there in your head. Why the destination does not remain in your head, tell me? Because of the previous sutras. We already explained why the mind is the cause of the suffering. My mind is constantly wandering. My mind is constantly distracted. Why it is distracted? I am seeking happiness outside. Bhartrhari said, done. I loved only one beautiful woman, and she loved someone else. I have to discover where the love is located. And he became the great master. Abhyasa, did you understand the first point? So, abhyasa, the repeat practice or any set of the practice may be different. So, there are thousands of practices of meditation. The goal is one. It means what? Are they different practices? No, they are only one practices, different approaches is there based on the temperament. Whether it is you say mindfulness, whether you say meditation, or you name something else, kundalini meditation, rename brandy meditation, John meditation, it doesn't make a difference. Is the knowledge clear inside your intellect? It will work. If it is not clear, it will not work. Do whatever you do.
Girish, what happens when, I think the knowledge has been clear, but I have what's being mirrored to me in the world is not clear. And bad behavior is being rewarded. Let me put it that way. And so what do you do with that piece? So let's say I'm doing what's right and good, and I'm doing my best to live and be what's right and good. And then what's being shown to me is it's better to not be good because you get rewarded that way.
Yes. Yes. You raise this doubt, and that's a very beautiful question. So that is where I been repeating again and again. When I am a seeker, I know how to tackle my mind to think, to speak, and to act in what is right and good. First thing. And once you become a seeker, you also know how to deal with people, condition outside. So that seeker has four sets of qualities that we studied in Tattva Bodha. The first is viveka, discernment. Second is dispassion. Then we have 6 inner treasures. And followed by mind is now focused with an intense desire for liberation. So now see that all the sadhan chatushtaya, it is known as fourfold practices, total 9 practices. They constantly live in your mind and you are ready to respond, not to react like Bhartrhari. Even with those people who have a bad behavior, who
Yeah, but they
react.
get promoted at work and get raises and I don't.
Yes, very good. That's another doubt that you have raised. It's better to take this up in a little deeper level. My focus is freedom, awakening to my real self. This is clarity. This is very clear. Lara, the best part is that everything happened in my life. What you are talking to me, it happened in my life. But I had a blessing of my master. So to say you simple, I was not promoted for 15 years. I was working with the federal government. What my master said, raise your skill. You have enough time. You are not getting promotion. And I raised my skill for 15 years. And every year I got an opportunity. First opportunity to go to Mongolia under International Health Exchange Program. Second to Beijing for another 9 months. Third to train the military in the Himalayas. Fourth, in 1993, I got a funding of more than $1 million to see if yoga is effective in rehabilitation of substance abuse people. That promotion had no meaning. That promotion had no meaning. And it is only because of the blessings of my master I am here and talking to you. I got a special visa. So now understand basic point that I realized much later, where my focus is. My focus is on promotion. I am doing a good work. Very good. I am doing a nice work. Doing the nice work, where is the focus? Focus is here or focus is there. So my dear friend, the same teaching you should apply what my master gave. Raise your skill. Continue. Continue raising your skill. Leave them if they don't want to promote you. See the result. You see again the point. I want
I'm
money.
not so I'm not so worried about the promotion. What upsets me the most is that bad behavior is rewarded.
No comparison. Leave that comparison to them. Bhartrhari left the comparison. Bhartrhari left the comparison. Let me keep my mind cool. What you are doing, it's none of my business. The way I'm thinking and speaking and living my life in the state of the calmness and peace is more important than what others are doing. And I have seen that exactly the same thing, Lara, in my office. One assistant was there and he said, "What did you get? You are working so hard. You reach to your office half an hour before. You leave the office half an hour later. And that I made a rule to myself. I enjoyed that. So now this guy told me, what you get? You did not get your promotion. I also did not get. I come office 1 hour late. I leave the office 1 hour earlier. I am happy. He told me much before. And after 10 years, I asked him where you are. You are still living in stress. You are still living in anxiety. You still have a lot of blame to complain. The director, the boss always blames that you did everything wrong in your life. You did not pay attention to raising your skill. You do not live in calmness and peace. He recently retired from the federal government. He called me. You see that? We have to change the entire perspective of our life. That is what yoga teaches. There the applied wisdom comes, and there's dispassion comes. And that is why I narrated the story of Bhartarhari. So there are two steps: abhyasa, repeat practice; vairagya, dispassion. So by vairagya, which is applied, now see, what is dispassion? It is applied discernment. It is applied viveka. And what is viveka? I'm answering again your question in a different way. What is applied discernment? What is discernment? What is real? What is unreal? Only real is my real self. So my focus is on the real self. From there, if I keep my focus on the real self again and again and again, constant awareness is there, my mind becomes calm. I see the bad behavior, I see the reaction, but I say, okay, thank you. This is his way, this is my way. Are you getting it? This is your way of bad behavior. This is my way of living. Why? Because peace and calm is stronger than your reaction, your bad behavior. Do I have that belief? Do I have that faith in myself? Only when the mind is not seeking anything outside. Yes.
Okay, so here's my question. So because then I've been on this path, I've been doing good, Then something that happened about a year ago came back up this past week and a half. And so, I mean, this person's been in jail and then they get promoted. And I just don't, and I have, and everybody, and they've done a lot of illegal things, and I just don't understand. Here, I show up, I do what's right and good, I be there, and I can't believe that this person, there's plenty of other people that deserve to get promoted or get a recognition, but they rewarded the worst person. And it's like, it's eating at my soul, because I'm like, do I have to leave this organization? I have to leave the job because of it.
It sounds like they don't share your values.
Yes. Alexandra, can you repeat it?
That's what's going on. It sounds as though the organization is not sharing your values. And so that's information now for you. And then you can decide what you do. But if they're rewarding someone who's, doing illegal things, then that's probably not an organization then that you want to be with. But your values are not shared in that organization. And this is information to you.
That is one way to understand. The other way to understand, according to what yoga says in the Gita, the karma is always defective. The action is always defective. Action has always twofold result: profit or loss, pain or pleasure, victory and defeat. Every action is defective. So what happened now? You did everything right, but their perception is totally different. You want to judge according to your performance, They judge according to their inhibition, their ideas. Can you change the mind of others? No. Remember the principle of yoga. Have a bigger smile. Continue working. Focus on the work. No comparison to keep the mind calm. But in that way, I do not get the profit. Where your mind is going? Are you doing your work for the sake of the profit or for the sake of doing the work? So at every step, the yoga guides you with a particular right logic. The goal is that how to awaken to my real self while living in this world. That is the basic key. So what happened now? 15 years, no promotion. So I raised my skill and I started giving lot of programs all around India. By promotion, I used to get a raise of only $100 per month, and I earned more than 10 times, 100 times by raising my skill and started my journey of workshop, intensive in universities, in military, etc., everywhere, in schools. So within 5 years, I was everywhere. And then the director was scared of me. And I said, you need not to be scared. Later on, I left the job as a deputy director. That's a different thing. Only following the principle. I don't want to disturb my mind because of you, because of your bad behavior, because you were promoted. Why should I do this? Why should I harm? That comes from the discernment and dispassion. Don't we recognize you? You are such a wonderful person. Is it not your promotion? It is your better promotion. Come on, Kate. Come on. Sarah.
I would like to add on that.
Christina does not trust you. Yes.
I'm here because of you, Laura. I am here because of your mind body post, and
I know.
So
I know this is your promotion. You see that? This is what is the real yoga practices. Alexandra? John, you understand? This is what it is. That's why I narrated the story of Bhartrhari. He was a king. He did not punish his wife, stable master. He did not punish anyone. Did he punish himself? No. He contemplated, he reflected. Let me search why I love and where is love. And he found the love within. He became one of the great masters. So you are already promoted because of your good behavior, because of your right attitude, because of your concern about others. What it will do with one small promotion? Come on. Now, seeker follows the steps of dispassion first and then follows the practice. So there are two parts. Repeat practice. One, the outer practice you can customize as many times as possible. Inner practice of dispassion, you don't. It is one and the same thing because it reveals the right knowledge. So seeker follows the step of dispassion first, then follows the practice. Means what? You have a clarity of understanding. You are 100% clear what you are going to say to your honey. So Bhartrhari went to his honey queen, said, honey, I'm done with you. I have no regret. But I have regret on my mind that why my mind got obsessed with you. Do you see that? So if I get obsessed and I continue to get obsessed, hell with you. Divorce. I will see you in court. What you will see in court? You start suffering now. Understand, seeker follows the step of dispassion first, then follows the practice. Now, if you do not follow the path of the dispassion, the knowledge is not clear in you, and you are doing the practice for 10 years, will it bring the result? So now you know what brings the failure. What fails you? Goal is not clear. Goal is not clear. So now understand another part is very important. It's a soul of the entire journey of Eastern wisdom, to know it, to desire it, to act on it. First is the knowledge, second is the desire, third is the action. If desire comes first, knowledge is not there, you will be frustrated. Always. So I told you first time, intellect should remain intellect. Even in times of stress, duality and conflict. Any person has deceived you, cheated you, acted with a bad behavior. No, my intellect should remain alive. So it's a very, you can remember, ichhati, na jnanati, janati, ichhati, karoti. Remember this. Janati, ichhati, karoti, janati, janati, ichhati, karoti, karoti, karoti. Janati, ichhati, karoti. I remember this abbreviation in the beginning. JIK. Janati, knowledge. Yoga lays stress on the intellect. A person engages in action if there is a desire in his mind. The power of desire regulates all actions, right? Power of desire regulates all action, but the desire is based on the knowledge. Do I have a right knowledge? The human being first acquires the knowledge. It is the nature of the human being by default. We don't apply it. The human being first acquires the knowledge, then chooses to reject or accept a thing in the life. After that, desire translates into action. So what is the issue here of dispassion? We should understand the relationship between knowledge, desire, and action. Lara doesn't love me. Now that is a desire. Say, for example. Now I have to examine why this statement is there. Why I have this desire. The first step is to understand if we are eligible to act. Do you understand what I'm saying? The first step is to understand if we are eligible to act. It means we should learn to become a seeker on the path, anywhere in life. The second step is to know the nature of the action and how to practice it. Third step is to contemplate and reflect. That is what the process of discernment and dispassion is. The fourth step is to find our relationship with the action. And life is very clear. Goal is very clear at every moment in my life. And if the goal is very clear at every moment in my life, what happens? The mind lives into that state of the calmness. I did not go through in detail in Tattva Bodha, but in the book I have explained it. That process is known as Anubandha Chatushtaya, fourfold connection. I talked a little bit about it. The 4 steps. First step, to understand if we are eligible. Second step is to know the nature of action. Third step is to contemplate and reflect on the goal. Fourth step, find our relationship with the action. Now I found the relationship. Here is the knowledge. Here is the desire. This is the way I'm going to act. Life is always, you enjoy, you remain carefree, even amid stress. So I'm just bringing another cross-referencing of Anubanshad. Practice or abhyasa does not succeed without right knowledge. Be 100% clear. In the beginning, Casey was saying, when I was teaching in her studio, so Acharya, talk only 5 minutes. Give meditation 55 minutes. But I asked Casey, they cannot do 55 minutes of meditation. So I have a liberty to talk to them. Casey is our common friend. She is a wonderful person. Gradually, when she understood the importance, then she said, yes, it is important. So practice does not succeed without right knowledge. Clear? Why? Ask yourself. The way Lara was asking so ask a lot of questions. Why? Why practice cannot succeed without the right knowledge? Mind is filled with the past impressions, wrong notions and ideas. There is a seed of impression. Seed of those accumulated impressions is known as vasanas. Vasanas. Vasana means that dwells in the deep recesses of the mind. Our inherited tendencies. What is inherited tendencies? Let me have a cup of coffee before I meditate. Yes, Kate.
You said, I thought that was samskaras. What's the difference between samskara and what's the word vasana? Can you spell it?
Vasana is a seed and sanskara is a sapling. That is how you understand. And because of those sapling, it triggers the mind to have a thought. It is good. It comes from the previous impression. The triggers. It is not good.
Is that vasana? What is the word?
Yes. Let me write the 3. You see, now you understand why the dispassion is required. You are getting into it. We are getting into it. This is you can copy and paste in your notebook. Vasana, seed, sanskaras, impressions, means it grows into the sapling. And then comes the thought. You see that? See the clarity? Now I sit in meditation. My mind has inherited tendencies with a lot of challenges that I have felt in the body. Body will start visiting. I'm not correcting my mind. I'm directly going into meditation. It does not succeed. I have a wonderful person. He is a big boss in Johnson & Johnson in New Jersey. Big boss. He continued coming to me for private lesson for more than 9 years. I lived in New Jersey every Friday. Now I want to learn. What he told me in the beginning is very rational. Don't teach me any asana and breathing and practice. I only want to learn meditation. He could not sit in any meditative pose. But his intense desire, he started with lying down. And after 1 year, he said, now I can sit easily for 1.5 hours without movement, without moving the body. Understanding. It's all about the knowledge. So I have a clarity of understanding. And his wife is a Kundalini yoga teacher. They both have been my students. Casey knows this. So remember this. What is abhyasa? That drops and dissolves all the thoughts of the mind. So first is Millions of thoughts pass through your mind every day. We succeed in knowing hardly few thoughts. Trillions of impressions are there created by the thoughts every day. We hardly know them because they function below the conscious level. So when you apply what? You apply discernment. What is discernment? What I am and what I am not. What is real and what is unreal. So that's a long step. Huh? We understand. So once you understand that, what happens? Now the mind is clear. Now the past impression is going to make your body crazy, but you have already understood you cannot do it. Mind cannot do it. And then do the practice. And I have seen a lot of people who have 100% clarity. They paid more attention to the listening. That is, listening and learning from the teacher is known as satsang. You might have heard the word satsang. Satsang does not mean that, you call and respond, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and you get out of it. No. It should go into your head. The mind becomes clear. And I have seen a lot of people, they get absorbed in meditation, who have not done even the meditative posture, who have not done even a single posture. And they used to sit in my sessions sometime for 2 hours and 3 hours. Knowledge first. Remember, J, Janati, or you can create an abbreviation. Knowledge, desire, KS, action, KSA. Knowledge, desire, and action. Knowledge, desire, and action. One day I realized there is not a single thought in the mind. I am totally absorbed in meditation for 2 hours and 3 hours. On the other day, the mind says, no, you have to do this, you have to do this. On that day, hours of meditation drops down. So what is abhyasa? That drops and dissolves all the thoughts in the mind. We are answering all the doubt. Doubt should be clear. There should not be doubt. Doubt means what? Do you remember in yoga? Anyone? Doubt means when the knowledge sleeps. That is doubt. Our definition is so deeper and clear. So that is why Patanjali says, Patanjali brought this principle, which is very much common in almost every teaching, every text, but he compressed it. He did not say first you have to become a seeker, you have to follow the viveka and then vairagya, then cultivate the 6 inner treasures, then you have an intense desire. Now this is the practice. He did not say that. He has to compress it. So cross-referencing helps us. Now it is over. Now departure and arrival points are clearly defined in these 2 steps. Are you clear about your departure point? Then the practice will start. Are you clear about your arrival point? Now see, compare, Lara, that's the question you're asking. What is your arrival point? Self-discovery. What is your departure point? Get out of it. You have a bad behavior, say thank you, bye-bye. Live with it. You live with it. I'm happy. Departure point has to be very clear. 100% clear. Arrival point has to be 100% clear. When you are clear, then you see, you always have a smile on your face. We keep worrying in our life all the times. Why don't you ask this question to yourself? Why I worry all the times? We are guided by the false knowledge, wrong notion, wrong ideas, wrong perception about my life. Who is going to remove that? Discernment and dispassion. Do you see that? Patanjali resolves these challenges by explaining these few sutras, Abhyasa and Vairagya. How many times a day we clean our home? Another question comes. Normally in India, I'm speaking with reference to India. We clean our home every day. So, I'm sorry. No, we are busy here. So so Viveka and Vairagya, discernment and dispassion, cleans your mind every day, every moment. Otherwise, what happens? Alexandra is smiling. My mind says, why she is smiling? Is she insulting me? You see the wrong notion? Unnecessary. Come on, you are smiling. Let me share with you. How many times you feel insulted? You don't want to tell me. If other one is laughing, even it is making fun of you, have a big laugh. Oh, that's good. Why? That very I is a wrong notion. You see, that is the height of the dispassion that we are going to understand this. Are you clear? Change your life. My goal, my concern is that once you listen and understand these principles, your life should change. From today, your behavior, your attitude, your response in your life must change. That is the goal of yoga. Now we come to the great explanation from Vyasa, the commentator. What Vyasa says beautifully. You have to live, you have to remember all that. Vyasa says that mind is like a river. And this river has a continuous flow. Flow of what? Flow of thoughts and feeling and emotions. It is not a pond. You make it a pond, and that stinks. You see that? You make mind your pond. Do you understand that? First point. Now understand the second point. Do you experience in an ocean, we have the waves coming to the beach, and the same waves go back and merge into an ocean, right? That flow. It has two sides, two ways flow. So Vyasa says river has one flow, mind has two flow. Mind has two flow, but it is like a river. Clear? The flow of the mind is twofold. What is that twofold movement? There comes the role of intellect that leads you to discernment and dispassion. Pay attention and start living from today. Maybe you are thinking, this is too much, beard guy, you are talking too much. Go ahead. This is one flow of mind. And other flow of mind is that you are listening to me. I have been teaching for 40 years. I know. Sometimes how people feel. Do you see that? So what is that two flow? You will instantly remember. One flow is Shreyas, other flow is Preyas. They both flow in the mind. Choose the Shreyas. And then practice meditation. Every meditation will succeed. So we will understand what is this Shreyas and what is this Preyas. In the intellect, what is Shreyas? Shreyas simply means my intellect knows what is right and good. Preyas means what I like and what is pleasant to me, I want to grab it. Now, Lara, ask the same question that you asked me and find out. Let the intellect follow the Shreyas. You are having a bad behavior. Thank you very much. Live your life. You got promoted. Thank you. Go and congratulate him. Give him a big bouquet. No. Yes. Patanjali is saying what Patanjali is saying. The river mind is flowing like a river. It has to flow. And that flow, two types of the flow, is always present in the mind. Always. So I should be aware to ask the mind to follow the Shreyas at all the time. You do it for 24 hours today. Tomorrow we do practice meditation. That meditation succeeds. Because you have been cleansing the mind by following the path of the Shreyas. That is why, Lara, we say, what we say, my mindfulness is an effortless, natural practice. It is not a practice. So it means which out of the two is more important, practice or dispassion? Tell me.
Tough one, because I think, well, I guess we have to practice dispassion. It doesn't just happen. So practice is most important.
More important than the practice.
But don't you have to practice dispassion? So then
it is a knowledge
practice is the most important.
Dispassion is the most important because dispassion is cleansing your mind 24/7. You maintain that awareness. The mind is continuously following the path of the Shreyas, Lara, and now you close your eyes. You are already there. You're already there. This knowledge is taught by almost every master differently with their different expressions. So I focus on the Patanjali. I only focus on the Patanjali. So that is now you understand why the Vyasa says the mind has two flow, Shreyas and the prayers. Now see what happens in the prayers. What you do in the prayers? I already given a hint before. Vasana,
you like or dislike. Yeah.
Yeah, vasana, impressions. So they are already present in my mind. So you add fuel to fire. Then what you say? No, I cannot do this. Your meditation practice is not so good. You are not a good teacher. Let me go somewhere else. And you try 10 teachers. What happens? You are frustrated with all the 10 teachers, with all the 10 practices. Why? Path of the prayers. Are you getting it? What you have to do with my beard, whether you like it or not, your goal should be fixed, focused. What is your focus? To get the knowledge. Finished. Yeah? Clear? Now in tantra, we use a different way. We say, in Hatha Yoga text also that verse is there. I have not written, but it just came to my mind. Chale vate chalam chittam nischale nishchalam bhavet yogi sthanuttamapnoti tato vayum nirodhet You don't understand this path of the Shreyas and the Preyas, what the Vyasa has just explained. So then the master gives you another insight. If you regulate the breathing, the mind is regulated. If you regulate the mind, the breath is, prana is regulated. Follow this path. So it means what? Any breathing practice that we do in any meditation is to regulate the mind. Secondary benefits are there, more physiological. You increase the oxygen concentration in the brain. It's okay. Now see, we keep a wrong notion. You see, after all, I'm doing a breathing breath work, breath meditation. That increases the oxygen concentration in the brain, and that helps me succeed in meditation. Okay, don't practice any meditation. Bring the oxygen cylinder. Increase the oxygen concentration in the brain. Let me see whether it helps you or not. Then leave the practice of meditation. You have to force. As a teacher, you have to force. Come on, understand the principle. We are not against science, no doubt. That is also a part of the knowledge. But we go with the same wrong notion. Okay, your oxygen concentration increases. I did a lot of research studies on asthma. I got at least 7 or 8 papers published long back in 85, it is. You oxygen concentration increases, it refreshes the brain, no doubt. But where we are in meditation, if I do not follow the path of the Shreyas in the intellect, you will continue to increase the oxygen concentration, and that oxygen may become a poison and you will die. Do you know that? Science says that after a threshold limit, if the oxygen concentration is more, I'm not against.
Girish,
Yes.
we just finished a similar study with studying what's called coherent breathing, right? So breathing with the adolescent mind, and the breathing exercises and the movement. We did movement too, the yoga, reduced anxiety and depression in all those kids during this time, during the time of COVID. So even during this time when they're all isolated and on the phones and on the texts and on the computers and stuff 24/7, these kids that did this breathing, this coherent breathing and the movement, their connection was increased, their depression was reduced, their anxiety was reduced, and their feeling of well-being was increased.
Beautiful. And you add one more thing, clarity. You make them understand this
Discernment.
principle of yoga. They will never go into anxiety again. See the point, Lara? This is what the Patanjali. Yes, Alexander.
Little question. Every spring, the trees grow and they bloom, and it's beautiful, and my sinuses fill up. And the pranayama all of a sudden is no longer an enjoyable practice. Do you have any recommendations for, and it's usually just like one side, and I can do but I can't do the alternate nostril breathing. Do you have any specific recommendations?
Yes, we will spend some time and we will do this practice.
Okay.
Maybe the next week you remind me, the first half an hour we will do the practice.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. And I try and take raw honey as long as I can, put off the Zyrtec.
Can you buy a sesame seed oil?
Yes.
And are you comfortable with putting 2 or 3 drops of sesame seed oil into your nostril?
Yes.
I keep it here. During this season, I always keep this.
Wow.
I have regulated couple of life. So I put 2 or 3 drops every couple of times. And then I do couple of practices that we will learn next Sunday.
And just right here where you can reach, just inside. You're not doing a deep swab. Wow.
It is gone.
Wow.
In Ayurveda, the sesame seed oil is considered most effective, potent weapon against any kind of allergies. And
Wow.
if we add them with the breathing practices, it will help a great deal.
Thank you. This is very exciting.
Right. Come back. Twin principles work together. What is the twin principles? Abhyasa and Vairagya, practice and dispassion. So now did you understand that when we say dispassion, now we are understanding it is Shreyas. So intellect moves the mind to the Shreyas. Now the mind is empty. Now I sit in meditation with eyes closed and I have done one thing more to understand. Our great master Shankara says, let me write it so that you will keep it there. There are 4 stages of dispassion. I'm summarizing the next 3 sutras also, so that it is better to understand. So they have a different name. You see that 4 stages of dispassion. In the first stage is known as Yatmana, which refers to the understanding to lead the mind away from sensual pleasure or seeking any kind of a pleasure outside. Now, the mind is not seeking happiness outside. That is the first stage. It is only an understanding. That is the first stage of dispassion. Clear? Vyatireka. Vyatireka means clarity and conviction. Now there is a conviction. My mind is not going to move anywhere. The stage that makes us aware of the level of dispassion towards certain objects. Clear? Third, ekendriya, the stage in which the senses remain quiet with the mind, having attachment or aversion to objects, events, and people of the world. Third stage. And what is the fourth stage of dispassion? You are already there. You are living in the state of mindfulness, whether you practice or not. So I answered the question again of Lara. You see that you live in the fourth state of dispassion. Many people ask me, do you also practice meditation while you guide me? Why should I practice? I'm already there. Why should I practice? I am already in my home. Why should I practice going to my home? So when you live, that is the fourth state of dispassion. Now tell me, answer your question. Answer. You have to understand, you have to settle this knowledge in your mind clearly, 100%. Why? Then you will understand what exactly is meditation and mindfulness, which is natural, which is not a practice. It is a state of being. See that? So fourth stage of dispassion, you live into that. You are already there. You then simply, you enjoy attending the session. You live into that state all the time. You did not ask me the question, what exactly is the practice? I said 2 points, practice and dispassion. That forms the practice of yoga or meditation. But what do you mean by practice? What do you mean by the practice? See that? So Yoga Sutra 13 explains you the practice. Are you getting it? Now we are understanding. You see the beauty of this journey. It has nothing to do with the blind belief. It has to do with the understanding. So now see, tatra sthitau yatno abhyasa. So now Patanjali is defining the first term. What exactly is the practice I used in the previous sutra? So tatra sthitau yatno abhyasa. Tatra. Tatra means in the previous, referring to the previous sutra. What is that? To be firmly established. Yatno, by effort in the practice. But where to be firmly established? So I translated that sutra. Abhyasa is an effort to keep a steady flow of the mind. Forget about the body. You see? And you see Lara and Kate and John, you see Terry. What is the goal? She always says, I maintain my awareness of the real self. She has Parkinson. Someday her body moves so fast. You have seen Christina. And on the other day, her body doesn't move at all. He is doing the success in meditation. So what does Patanjali mean by practice? The word practice, abhyasa. He says what he says. Can you guess from the previous sutras? What is yoga? What are the two states where the yoga and mindfulness can happen? Only in the fourth and the fifth state. Am I aware of the fourth state, ekagrata? Yes. Can I continue to maintain that ekagrata, one-pointedness of mind? Yes, I have. That is what the abhyasa is. Abhyasa is not moving the body or keeping the body still. They are secondary. They are important in the beginning or in the later stage. But what is most important is to maintain that awareness inside. Are you getting it? Did you understand that point? You should be very clear in understanding. Abhyasa means effort. What kind of effort? The effort is made to maintain a particular state of mind. What is that particular state of mind? The state is minimized state of wandering of mind. It means the mind is free from the three subjective states. What are the three subjective states? Wandering, forgetfulness, obsession. Mind should not live in these three states. If they live in these three states, then the meditation fails. Now you know why the meditation fails. And why people claim that, no, I don't like your meditation. I don't like the teacher. You are responsible for it. Your mind is already living in the first three states. That's why you fail. It is an effort that makes the flow of the mind calm and relaxed. We'll understand later the flow of the mind on any object or emptiness is allowed is an effort. That is an effort. Say I'm looking at you, constantly looking at you. My mind is, say I'm looking at Lara. My mind goes to John. I bring it back to Lara. That is an effort. Are you getting it? But not by force. If I do by force, it means my mind is following which flow it has? Prayers. It does not have Shreyas. I fail it. You see, all the threads are joining together. Vasana, I told you seed. From the seed, you have sapling. It is waiting for the right environment to trigger the mind to have a particular thought. Just out of the blue, I don't say John is bad. It comes from the previous impression. But John is good. I'm just citing an example. Don't be so serious, John. So you see that? It does not come out of the blue. So now intellect knows, come on, mind, are you following the path of the Shreyas? Oh, yes. Okay. Now, first is Shreyas inside, and now I am doing the practice. Practice means I return again and again to the point of the Shreyas. Practice always succeeds. Don't worry, it took me 10 years to understand this. But listening and learning again and again. But your commitment may bring the result in few weeks. Now, what is the secret behind it? That secret we are learning on Saturday's meditation session from the another text. How the hell you are joining all these stuff here? That is the way we have to learn this Eastern wisdom. So what happens? Now ask yourself. You are following the path of the Shreyas. Good. Now when the impressions, they appear, they disappear, your mind goes back to that step that is known the practice. So what happens? You become 100% objective. What does that mean? You become aware of the seer behind what is going on, the seer behind, and in the front, all kinds of thoughts are going. Thoughts of the Shreyas is going, and the intellect says continue. Thought of the prayers is going, intellect says hold on, return. The seer is there behind. So what happens by this twofold practice? What Patanjali explains, you awaken to the seer. You awaken to the seer. We will do it, and let me explain this clearly. So that is explained in another text which is known as Dragdrashya Viveka. That is how the traditional masters teaches. Rupam Drashyam Lochanam Drak Tadrashyam Draktu Manasam Manasam Drashya Dhivratyah Sakshi Dragev Natu Drashyate. My master used to sing beautifully. So what it means. Now see, you have a right understanding of the abhyasa and the dispassion. So what the master is saying. What the master is saying. That is what the fourth stage of dispassion. And then we will have, you see, I'm seeing you. You are an object for me. Eyes are the seer, knower. Right? First step. Right? Who knows all the five sense organs? The mind. So mind is the seer of the sense organs. So sense organ becomes the seen. I use the word objective. Now what happens? My mind becomes upset. It has a swing. It is swinging. It is reacting. Who knows this? There is some entity behind the mind. That entity is known as the witness. That entity is known as the seer. By abhyasa and practice, what we do by Patanjali, ultimately we awaken to that seer. And that seer is nothing but the real self. We reach there. Again, understand. I am seeing you how? Through the sense organ. So sense organ becomes the seer at the first stage. Right? Now, what is the definition of a seer in Eastern wisdom? Apply that operating principle. The seer, the real seer is only one. First, what is the property of a seer, real seer? It is only one. It does not change. If any seer changes, it means it is not the real seer. Does my sense organ change? Yes, it changed. That's why I have glasses now at this age. So seer is changing. It means it is not the real seer. Let me find out. Mind. Mind is looking at all the five sense organs. Now, mind is the seer of all the five sense organs. Clear? What is operating principle? Seer is only one. Real seer never changes. Does the mind never change? Always change. So it cannot be the real seer. My goal is to find the real seer here and now. You are doing the practice. So who knows my mind is upset, my mind has a thought? There must be something behind the mind. That is the real seer that never changes, that is everlasting, that is pure consciousness, that is witness, that is the seer, that is the goal of yoga. Then we explain what is that seer? That seer is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. We have to understand that. That what is that real self? It is permanent peace and happiness. Nothing happens to that. That's another journey. But here, until now, you understand that part. Are Alex, Brandy, Brittany are listening, or they are in meditation? They can. Oh, they're listening. So yes, any question? Did you get it? Clear?
I have a question, Girish.
Yeah.
So then, is the seeker the intellect, or is the seeker the witness, or both?
Seeker takes place in the intellect.
Okay,
And the real self is behind the intellect.
got it.
So difference between seeker and seer. Seeker and knower. Huh? Driver, what we say, student, driver is the seeker. Now, what is the law? You should have clarity of understanding. Invite, if you have any more questions, ask me. Knowledge is 100% clear in your mind through the intellect. 80% of the battle is won. Question. Did you understand? I navigated you from the sutra, then from the sutra to the different aspects of the sutra. Then we understand what the Vyasa says. Vyasa says mind has a two flow, Shreyas and the Preyas. Intellect can determine what is right and good. But how only the seeker knows what is right and good? It is not based on your intellect and my judgment or your judgment. That will not work. That will not work. Why it doesn't work? You see, majority of rational people have destroyed all the religion. Religion says, do this, don't do this. My intellect says, why should I follow? But when I understand, based on the principles of Eastern wisdom, what does it mean by what is right and what is good? That is Shreyas. What is right? That is beyond time, beyond space, beyond object. It is one, unitary consciousness. That is always right. That unitary consciousness contains permanent peace and happiness. Now you judge from your intellect. So intellect introduces couple of thoughts based on my preferences and my past impression. So that is how I judge every religion. I'm not saying whether they are relevant or not. That's a secondary question. After all, the science is also based on the hypothesis. Hypothesis means they follow a specific principles. But in terms of our life and attitude, we don't want to follow any principle. What I like, good. I like brandy, so brandy is good. Now see that, let us take another example. I don't want to. So a person commits a crime and he is my dear brother. What is right and good? What is right and good? I can give you hundreds of examples. Why? Your head should be clear. Take another example the Lara gave. The person is bad. The other person is very good. Good and intelligent, caring for an institution. Who should get the promotion? That is the first question. Second is, who will give the promotion? What is his attitude? What is his attitude? So that attitude is decided by his intellect, by his preferences. So he says, continue, Lara, who cares you? I like this guy. So there, the path of the Shreyas is not there. Do you see that path of the Shreyas is not there? Can you infuse the path of Shreyas in his or her head? No. Be happy. You live with the Shreyas. Continue the journey. That is the way the life is. Any question? Last point, understand. Sometimes you will mistake the fourth stage of dispassion is nothing but you are already in the state of meditation, 24/7. Who says? I know. If my intellect says, then I'll be wrong. Master says. Again, same example will prove, I will prove the example wrong. I'm not saying. So once you learn the next three sutras, it clearly defines, yes, you are there. What practice you have to do. So which I normally term as a knowledge practice. Knowledge. Constantly you are living your life. It is a joy of conscious living.